All right, if you're about to write a research paper, you know that feeling, right? Just staring at a blank page. But what if I told you there's a clear, step-by-step roadmap that can take you from that blinking cursor all the way to a finished manuscript? Well, today, we're going to break down that entire process. We have all been there. That little blinking line on an empty white screen, it can seriously feel like you're standing at the bottom of a huge mountain. The whole idea of a research paper can be so overwhelming, but I promise you, it really doesn't have to be. The secret isn't some crazy flash of genius, it's just about having a solid plan. And here is our map. First, we're going to build a solid foundation. Then we'll get into writing the core of the manuscript itself. After that, we'll master some of the technical stuff, like referencing. And finally, we'll take our draft all the way to publication. So let's start at the beginning. First up, part 1, building your foundation. Think of this part like laying the concrete and steel beams for a skyscraper. Seriously, if you get this part right, everything that comes after it is going to be so much easier.
Okay, before we even think about a topic, we have to understand the language we're supposed to be speaking. Academic writing. It isn't like a text message or a novel. It's a very specific style. It has to be formal, totally objective, built on solid evidence, and just incredibly precise. Nailing this style is basically your ticket to being taken seriously in your field.
So what does that structure actually look like? Well, for most scientific papers, the answer is IMRaD. And this isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's pretty much the universal blueprint that readers, and more importantly, reviewers, absolutely expect to see. You know what I love about this is how simple it really is. IMRaD just stands for Introduction, Methods, Results, and Discussion. And each section answers one basic question. Introduction, what was the problem? Methods, how did you try to solve it? Results, what'd you find out? And discussion, so what? What does it all mean? It's this beautifully logical flow that guides you, the writer, and your reader right through the whole story of your research. Okay, so our foundation is poured, we've got the blueprint in hand, now it's time to actually start building this thing. Welcome to part 2, where we get into writing the core manuscript. We're going to start with what might be the single most important 250 words you write, the abstract. I love this quote because it is so true. Think about it. In a world where everyone is swamped with information, your abstract is your one and only shot to convince a busy researcher that your paper is actually worth their time. It's your movie trailer, your elevator pitch, it's everything, all rolled into one tiny paragraph. So how do you write a great one? It's actually pretty simple. On the do side, you've got to give a miniature version of your entire paper. What was your purpose? What methods did you use? What were the key results? And what's your main takeaway? And you absolutely have to respect the journal's word limit. They are not kidding about that. On the don't side, never, ever mention anything that isn't actually in the main paper. And don't use a bunch of jargon without explaining what it is. Keep it super clean and clear. Now, as you move from that abstract into the main body of the paper, you need to keep this principle as your North Star. Every single sentence you write has to be crafted with clarity, objectivity, and precision. You gotta avoid the dramatic flair or any vague language. Your credibility literally rests on how clearly and accurately you can communicate your work. All right, moving on to part 3, mastering the mechanics. So you've done the research, you've written the core text, but now we have to handle the nitty-gritty details that separate an amateur draft from a truly professional manuscript. And here's the question that probably makes a lot of researchers break into a cold sweat. Your paper is built on the work of others, right? And you have to cite them perfectly. But when you have like 100 different sources, how in the world do you keep track of them all without making a single mistake? The answer is you don't do it by hand. This slide just lays it out perfectly. Trying to create a bibliography manually is so slow, it's a total magnet for errors. And oh man, if a journal rejects your paper and you have to reformat everything for a new one, it's a complete nightmare. A reference manager, and there are great free ones like Zotero or Mendeley, it automates the whole thing. It makes sure everything is accurate and lets you switch citation styles with a single click. Honestly, it's a non-negotiable tool for any modern researcher. And that brings us to the final leg of our journey. Part 4, from draft to publication. Your paper's written, your references are perfect. Now it's time to cross that finish line. Submitting your paper isn't as simple as just attaching a file to an email and hitting send. Every journal has its own specific, really detailed guidelines for formatting, for figures, for everything. Paying close attention to these rules shows that you're a professional and that you respect the editor's time, and that can dramatically increase your chances of being taken seriously.
So here it is, your final pre-flight checklist. Number 1, proofread your entire paper, out loud. I'm serious, you will catch awkward sentences and typos that your eyes would just skim over. 2, read the journal's author guidelines one last time. 3, double-check that every single reference and figure is formatted perfectly to their specs. This is about more than just citations. It's making sure your graphs are high-res and your tables look right. 4, write a short, persuasive cover letter that sells your paper to the editor. And finally, step 5, take a deep breath and click that submit button.
And that's our roadmap, from that scary blank page all the way to a submitted manuscript. I think the key takeaway here is that you don't write a research paper all at once. You build it piece by piece, just following a logical structure. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and every great paper out there was built one single step at a time. So, now that you have the map, there's really only one question left. What new discovery, what new insight, what incredible piece of knowledge are you going to share with the world? Go build something great.